This is the Open University.
Here we see the Death and the Maiden. This is based on Shakespeare's play, the famous play Death and the Maiden, which is set in Vienna, although Shakespeare himself was never in Vienna. But he was a big fan of the Wiener Werkstatt movement and Art Nouveau here in Vienna. And in fact, he anticipated Freud, because if you read Freud, he makes many references to Shakespeare, and that's because Shakespeare could see Freud coming. If you pan up there, you see that Klimt was very much the master to Schiller. And it's unfair because Klimt gets all the honours. He founded this secession museum, and all Schiller got was a girlfriend, a cottage in the countryside, and a spell in prison. So you find us in Vienna. We arrived here yesterday and there was a huge thunderstorm in the evening. I think it had been flooding Switzerland before, and then it was flooding Austria. And now we're in a cafe called Jonas Reindl, which I think is a cafe chain here in Vienna. We're here for 2 full days, and we leave on Sunday. And the character of this town is really eccentric. It's got an eccentric individualism and individuality, and also sort of weird arty quality. So yesterday we went into this thrift store where a man gave us a couple of free cups of coffee. A really eccentric store that could only exist in a city where the rents are low. Vienna keeps coming up top in these polls of the quality of living. And I think it's partly because there's so much community housing dating back decades. It seems that the city has been putting a lot of effort into building city-owned property which can then be let out at reasonable rates. But also, obviously, the business rates are very low here, because otherwise you wouldn't find such eccentric shops which haven't changed their frontage since the 50s. There's none of this thing of let's turn everything into a juice bar, or, you know, where the rents keep going up and people can only afford to have shops if they sell high, fast turnover, kind of high price items. So we're enjoying it, and we're ultimately on our way to Italy to see the Venice Biennale, which friends have told us, sort of Baroque clock tower here chiming. Friends have told us, although it got bad reviews, this curated part of the Venice Biennale this year, it's actually very, very good. My Korean friend Jungwa said, because it's artisanal, because it's actually showing a lot of developing world craft work. So it's almost like a crafts biennial. Every second year in Venice you have the architecture biennial, then the art biennial. This time it's a kind of a crafts biennial where they haven't even found the names of some of the artists of the works they're showing, because it was communal. Often collectives were making this work, and it was often people who don't have names, or don't have famous names anyway, and are not part of the traditional Western art world. So we like the sound of that, and we'll give you updates on Venice from Venice. But today we're going to the Secession on the Ring, the Vienna Ring, and let's do that together, guys. What did I say? I said guys. I'm thinking of calling this city a city of quirky alones, because people often are middle-aged and have strange hats and look sort of arty, but also the shop fronts. I mean, this shop front has not changed since 1835 when it was established, by the look of it. There we are in the Naschmarkt, the famous Viennese market, and I noticed that amongst the Viennese heroes is this guy. fame is Egon Schiele, who of course was imprisoned, was persecuted for his sexual subject matter and imprisoned by the Viennese at the time. Now he's a city hero. Here we are at this session, and we're going to see an exhibition about slime. I don't know why they have all the colours of the rainbow orientations flag in the front, but it's all the colours of the rainbow except one. I'm going to do an action where I put the tortoises. I'm going to put an extra colour on this inclusiveness flag to include straight people, because we're so much stronger if we're all unified. Klimt. Secession. So it's a somewhat satanic installation. It's a bit like Neue Slovenian Kunst, Leibach inspired, possibly. So they only had the Klimt room downstairs open, and a satanic room upstairs of sort of installation open, and one of the other exhibitions supposed to be open was closed early on technical grounds. We have technical problems. They didn't have any technical problems taking our money though. Here you can see the only remnants of the slime exhibition, in which the secession is slowly being encased in slime, like the political world. We're having votes here on Sunday, European Parliament votes, in which right-wing populist parties are widely expected to do very well. And so I think this is a good metaphor for slime invading the institutions. Now we've just been told that between 5 and 7 all the museums in Vienna are free, so they might have told us that at the secession, but they didn't. But luckily we can see the Mumok, and we can see the Kunsthalle and all the other museums in that culture bunker free. But we have to kill 2 hours drinking this bubble tea, and as you can see, it's called Ichiban tea, and it's like a kitsune, a fox, I think. Ichiban just means first, top tea, but then Noémie's one has both the face and the ass of the animal. It's the only cup that we could see that had both.
Ask me something you've always wanted to ask me.
What is the appeal of this strange animal, Kumamon?
No.
We've just found that Kumamon is appearing in Paris in July, and we're considering whether to pay 22 euros to see him. This mascot of Kumamoto. We went all the way to Kumamoto last year to try and see him, and failed because he was on holiday or something. Or they were refurbishing his museum and his visitor center.
His office, yes.
His offices, yeah. So I don't really understand the appeal. To me, I made a video in 2011. I was an early adopter, but to me he was a horror film character.
ポカポカの太陽を浴びたデコポンは甘くジューシー、熊本の恵みを届けに行こう。かごめ野菜生活デコポンミックス季節限定新発売。
Because he's shaped like a large baby, a large black baby.
The appeal of Kumamon. I have a theory of why things are cute. It's because they are bean-shaped, I think.
And beans are cute?
Yes, because it's the shape of the fetus, and then the shape of a baby is kind of bean-shaped. And therefore, Kumamon is cute because it's bean-shaped. And also, Mumin is bean-shaped. And there was something else that's bean-shaped I like.
Beans.
Beans.
See, this is all in the air at the moment in philosophy, because there's a new philosophy book which has been published called Cuteness and Accelerationism, which suggests that if we give in to cute things, we are accelerating basically the end of the world, or accelerating a major change in world culture.
Why?
Because, well, accelerationism is posited on the idea that even bad changes are good because they force change of some kind, and we're in an unsustainable situation. But it's usually embraced by right-wingers like Steve Bannon, who's currently on trial in America.
But you know, there's this thing that if something is too cute, then you want to hurt it, to beat it up, to bite it, and that's because you are overwhelmed by one feeling of cuteness and protectiveness, and your body, because it's too much, has to balance it with the opposite emotion, which is violence.
I'm not sure I buy that. I think cuteness is to do with capitulation. Capitulation to small things, which is good. You know, it's not the usual Hobbesian the survival of the fittest or the biggest. It's actually that we are ruled by our pets, for instance, and we're ruled by babies. Although they're weak and small, they can dominate us with their piercing shrieks or their kind of heartbreaking meows or barking or whatever. They might be very small, but actually the smaller they are, the more they can manipulate our desire to have babies, because cuteness is all about the shape of the baby. Not a bean, I would say, it's the shape of the baby. And you're very much a baby fetishist. You like the smell of babies' heads and you like to eat babies' feet.
Yes.
Then we're easily dominated by any system which just cute washes. We could call it cute washing. It's the latest version of greenwashing or gay washing. We saw some gay washing today in front of the Secession. They were washing away their sins for having no exhibitions on view at all by having a huge rainbow diversity flag outside the main door.
The thing is, I don't see much cuteness in the world. I mean, I don't think it's a trend. I think it's the opposite.
Well, I think because it's not the dominant value, it becomes the subdominant value. It becomes the value which we rush in escape to.
Yeah.
To escape from the horrors of actual wars and actual oppression and actual starvation and all the rest of it. We can turn to cuteness as a kind of remedy or escape. We can feel tender-minded about something while the world is actually very tough now. But yeah, I haven't read this book. I'm just glossing it from having read the summary. So I don't know what they propose, whether they I think the authors say that they have given into cuteness, but it's also an academic study of cuteness and how it might relate to the philosophy of accelerationism, which is, you know, comes from people like Nick Land, as far as I know.
I was actually reading an article called about the obsession of Japan with everything that's cute, and it's talking about Kumamoto and how when there was the earthquake in Kumamoto in 2016 it was. Yeah. Everyone was sending messages saying, how are you, Kumamon? I hope you are fine, praying for Kumamon. But it's just because Kumamon is the symbol of the region, so by saying, I pray for you, Kumamon, it means I pray for everyone.
Region. Right, yeah, it was metronymic, as we say. Yeah.
But it just shows also how much power it can have, that it can generate a lot of sympathy from the world.
But Japan has always been very good at turning commercial mascots into gods, into Shinto gods. So you get something like the Kewpie mascot was used in mayonnaise 100 years ago, becomes Billiken, who's the god of things as they ought to be in Osaka. And you touch his feet for luck. It becomes essentially like the gods in a shrine, like Ebisu, the god of commerce, or whatever. Or there are gods who deal with stomach ailments, and they go and touch the stomach of a statue in a shrine to get the stomach ailment cured. And it's the same with this character who was initially Kewpie mayonnaise mascot. So I think that maybe Kumamon in 100 years, you could come back and find he's a god in Kyushu with his own shrine. I'm sure that's
this article says that the first item that has been stamped Kumamon name was a Buddhist temple.
Oh really? It was a Buddhist temple? That's interesting.
But I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's funny, he's a monster and yet he's holy at the same time. Yeah, I was just going to add that a homeless man today called me Helga Schneider. This happens in German-speaking countries. Of course, we've just been in a Czech-speaking country where they use Czech crowns and come back into the German language realm, the Anschluss, as it were. Come back to Eurozone and to a place with Humana shops. So we've already been in 2 Humana shops. Humanas here are more like the Spanish ones, though. They're cheaper than the German Humanas, which are typical rip-off machines these days. But as I walked past a bench just a few minutes ago, this homeless man said, Helga Schneider, haben Sie 2 Euro? Do you have 2 euros for me? I didn't actually have 2 euros, and I was slightly insulted because Helga Schneider is a German comedian who does look rather like me. He's 68 years old, he has a beard, he has very suspicious hair, and he has these outsized 70s sunglasses. So I guess in German-speaking countries I just have to be Helga Schneider.
Open University.
Now, Bob Harris introduces this week's edition of the Old Grey Whistle Test.